clue because we had nothing. So this morning there were three girls and the guy that I know. So I called him. He was like, those are the girls that Joe was with last night. He and this girl's number name was Jenna. I texted her and asked her what happened to Joey last night. She had no idea where he is he with you? She said no, we were at this party, and then a few hours after, Joey and this guy, whose name was Larry, walked the girls to an Uber and with them the bar. Pat was actually able to give me the name and phone number of the last person Jenna saw with Joey, and his name was Larry DeLeon. So I called Larry and I explained that we're looking for Joey Caminali, who was partying with at the after party. He goes, yeah, we might be outside of Philly. We invited them to this after party with this rich kid that lives on the Upper East Side. Very cool. We left the building to walk Jen and her friends to an Uber to start back in It was 6:30 in the morning, and all he remembers is he walked back into the building alone. So then I gave Jenna a call, and Jenna described the after party in apartment 13, and the host was James Rackover.
According to Jenna, when the group arrives, she gets into the apartment, and there was a male in there. His name was James Rackover, and James was shirtless. And put a shirt on the entire. Once she said James claimed to have been a male stripper, and he wanted to give Jenna a lap dance. And unfortunately, one of those videos.
James has no shirt. He's giving one of the girls a lap dance. He's competing with Larry DeLeon, who is the best lap dance.
She said that Larry DeLeon was in possession of a folding knife that he was snorting cocaine off of. And she kept noticing that Joey appeared to be extremely inebriated, that he was consuming a lot of whiskey and beer, but he wasn't having any issues with any of the people inside the apartment that he was.
Jenna does recall that after the party, once she got to the Uber, they get inside. I guess she's looking back to say bye, and she sees that Larry and Joey fist bump each other. And then she assumes he either walked off or went back inside the party. So Jenna painted a great picture of what was going on in the office, but she never answered the crucial question, which is, where is Joey? I could tell Pat was concerned. I have sons of my own, so I'm like, you know what? Let's go take a ride to the building.
Detective Castro really was conscientious. He took an interest, and no bullshit. He wanted to know what was going on. He knew there was a problem. We jumped in his patrol car and went over to Grand Sutton. So the Grand Sutton is located on East 59th Street. For those people that aren't aware of that area, that is known as Sutton Place. And it's not for the rich, it's for the filthy rich.
So the Liberty Inn, you arrive in front of the Grand Sutton. When you walk in, it's almost as if you're walking into a hotel. They've got a doorman, concierge. We decided let's go to 4C, James Rackover's apartment. Knock on the door. We open the door. James was there. So I said, listen, there was a party here last night. There was a kid that's missing. You mind if I come take a quick look? She goes, no problem. She opens the door. We went in. It was very clean. We didn't see anything that would have raised any flag. We didn't find Joey there, and we had to leave the apartment. So I called James Rackover. He says he doesn't know Joey Caminali. He's a stranger. He came for the after party with Larry and one of Larry DeLeon and James Rackover's friends, Max German. he and I met at the Gilded Building. All he knows is Joey walked out of the building with Larry and never came back. And when we spoke to Max Gemma, he says, yes, he's at this after hour party, but he gets tired and he basically falls asleep on the couch. He wakes up, he doesn't see Joey, he doesn't see anybody else, he just goes home. So I decided to go back to the lobby to start looking at video surveillance from the Grant side. Just looking for any evidence, any clues to let us know where Joey may be.
And from time to time, he would call me over and say, "Is that Joey?"
So we're watching the video. That's Joey right there. You see the group arrive at about 4:30 in the morning and go in to the Grand Center, go up to the fourth floor. And then at 6:30, you see Joey come along. We see him walking out, and we walk to the front. Perfect. If he makes a left, if he makes a right, then we'll know we have to get more video from next door and we can start tracking. And as we're watching the video play, we see Larry DeLeon walking back in, and Joey is with him. And I was like, wait, you told me he didn't come back.
At that point, and I said to my brother, "Look at your life." I don't know why. It's just a hunch I had. Joseph was my first son, and he was always a great kid. Joey and I always got along because of our love for sports. I was a big hockey fan, and he took me to his first hockey game in Buck. And he started skating at 5 years old, and he started playing competitive hockey at 8. Every year we took a trip, whether it was